Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to another Lavinia Stamps mixed media tutorial with me, Lisa Taggart, and today I'm privileged to be able to demonstrate some of the new release stamps. This one's called One Winter's Morning, and let's first of all look at the materials used in the project. To begin, we've got the watercolour card, that's the hot press version, which is flat surface for stamping. Also some masking sheets and the masking fluid with a little brush. I'll explain why we're using two masking materials later. We've got Della Blue, Emperor Red, Sundance and Graphite in the Elements ink pads, and we're doing all our stamping with Pine Cone VersaFine Clair. Some sparkle with Stardust Stickles. We've got the water brush, white and yellow gel pens, a well-loved white pastel pencil, and we're also then finally using the Zig Clean colour markers. I've got a combination of pinks, peach and a sort of dark reddy colour, and also some browns, so sort of warm mid-tone dark, a grey and a dark grey, a pale yellow, pale blue and the blender, and these are all from the large set. Now for the stamps, starting off with the new ones, you can see the Nook, which is absolutely glorious, Woodland Cottages, Snowy Fir Tree, both large and small, Oakley, we've got Red Pine Small, Small Branch, Christmas Joy and Sacred Bridge in small. And so we're going to convert all of those into something that looks a little bit like this. So to begin, we've got 8 by 8 inches of our card, and 2/3 the way up we're doing our landscape, and we've got a horizon line there sort of sweeping upwards, and then a combination of just wiggly lines, so you can make your own banks, the shape of them. Take a screenshot if you want to copy this one, but just do a variety of wiggly lines. We're going to start the stamping now, and as I said earlier, we're using Pine Cone for all of the stamping. And we're beginning off with the horizon, and I stamped off first of all to do second generation because I want it sort of to recede in the distance a little bit. And in advance I've stamped a number of the stamps and cut them out using the masking sheets, so that's what I've done. I'm stamping off the houses as well because of course they're in the distance too. And once that's in place, I'll be taking its little mask that was pre-stamped and cut and adding that as well. So while I carry on building up the little houses in the background, I'll explain why I'm using two masking materials, the sheets and the masking fluid. As I've said, we stamp off the stamps onto the masking sheets and cut the stamp out, and there you can see another one I'm just placing on top, and that allows you to stamp over the top and build up backgrounds and put other stamps in the distance, and what you mask is in the foreground. And the masking sheets are great for building up stamping in this way. There's another example. I was able to put the tree in the background because I have the mask in front of the house and the tree. But when it comes to using water-based products and inks and paints and so forth, I would recommend then going on and using the painted masking fluid because that protects the stamps underneath better. Now I'm removing the little masking sheets, and what I'll do is mask them all off with the fluid, and there you are, and it's all dry now, and that allows me to use water over the top along with these inks. So I'm using the lovely Elements ink pads, which I'm a bit obsessed with lately, and my water brush. And really the tip here is to use a tiny amount of the ink and to blend it out really well. As you can see, I'm starting off with yellow for the centre of the sky, and I'm using the water from the water brush to blend that out and to dampen the card, the top third, over the top of the houses and all the rest of it. So that means I can dip into other colours and blend them into the background. So just strengthening up the centre there with a tiny bit more yellow, and where you think it's too damp, you can use your kitchen towel to take some water off the brush. And now I'm just again using a tiny amount of this red, just literally dip the point in of the brush into the lid and taking a tiny amount and basically sweeping little lines across the sky to give the impression of distant sunrise clouds, and each side will build the colour up slightly, and really there's no precise way of doing this. Your sky will be different from my sky, and that's fine. All skies are different, and I absolutely love doing skies, particularly colourful skies. So as I say, the trick is to use a tiny amount. What I'm doing here is I'm first of all adding the water to the lake so that the ink blends better, and I'm starting off with a line of yellow right down the centre, and we're doing the reflections of the sky, so we're using the same colours again, and just very lightly dab them in. And we're doing a sort of a stripe of yellow down the centre with some pink either side, and then of course the Della blue and the graphite as you go to the edges where the little river is deeper, and it starts to delineate the edges of the river as well. And if your line doesn't stay in place, you can always again take your trusty kitchen towel and dab out what you don't want and add in the colour again. So starting now to add the Della blue, and it's turning the lovely purple colour, mixing with the pinky red, and again very lightly, very light touch, just to add in the hint of reflection from the sky. Now I'm back to the graphite, and I'm going to use this to go around the edges of the banks and just to dab in while the card is still damp, and that means it blends in very nicely and it's starting to deepen up the edges and give the impression of depth to the sides of the bank. And so we're going to do this gradually by starting off with, as I say, the graphite and blending that in nicely, and just little dabs, and start to think about little stones perhaps in the water, and maybe slushy snow, and it's not altogether perfect. If you want your river and your snow to be pristine, don't do this, but I like to sort of make it a little bit realistic, although except this picture today is quite whimsical and it's not really meant to be realistic in that sense. So next we're back to the Della Blue again, and this time we're going to build up the edges of the bank. And like before, we're first of all adding the water down to the areas where we're going to place the blue so that it blends nicely. This is sort of wet on wet watercolour technique, and as you can see it feathers out and creates its own thing. I'm now removing all that masking fluid, and it's all away now and nice and smooth. I took this pale brown just to add it back the little details of the house, and now pulled out some of my watercolour markers to start the colouring. The bridge, I wanted it to sort of be in the background because it's in the distance, so I was colouring it in pale tones, but ultimately I think I darken it up a little bit in the end up, because I wanted it to look very similar to the wood texture in the nook, the new stamp at the front that has the little house in it. I wanted it to look the same, so I think I add in sort of colours to match that in the end up, and I think that's the reason why I chose the bridge, because I like the texture of it to match up with the texture of the new stamp. So that's the picture complete. It's been mounted up onto pale cream and black card just to create a frame, and you can see Oakley twinkling. Unfortunately, you can't see too many twinkles for the rest. It's very hard to capture that on camera, unfortunately. But I hope you enjoyed this week's project for me, and that you managed to get hold of some of the new release stamps for Christmas, which are absolutely glorious, and I really enjoyed using them. And I nearly called this project Was It Something I Said, because poor old Oakley's on his own with no fairies, so maybe your version could have a fairy or two so he's not so lonely. So until next time, take very good care of yourselves, and above all, get creating, be brave, and do enjoy the adventure.